What up, y'all? It's the King, and this is the Life of Wayne. Stay tuned. So today, I decided to tell the story of when I met a psychopath. A young lady that I had met a couple years ago. 120. A couple years ago. It's a long time. This is a very, very, very long time ago. Like, what is this, 2025? I probably met this girl like almost 10 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, like 2017, something like that. So back in like 2017, around that time, I guess I always been a ladies' man, but at this particular time, like I was messing around with this girl, and she lived in down south somewhere, for lack of telling all the story. Well, whatever. She lived in Louisiana, whatever. Me and her messed around for a good while. She was a doctor. She was cool as shit, but she lived far, so that gave me a lot of room to be able to just do all kinds of craziness with all kinds of chicks whenever I wanted to, whenever I was ready, blah, 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 this, that, and the third. And at the time, I was kind of still messing around with my daughter mom, too. Like, just, being a N-word, like N-words do. It is what it is. Ain't no shame. It's my story. But, I used to be on these different apps like POF and BLK, and this back in the day where this shit was like just like a hotbed for being able to get laid like that, like fast. Like it didn't take no time. Like you could meet a chick on the app and be knocking her off that same night. Like that was the life at that point, right? And I had done it a million times before. Me and my two boys, Marcus and Marcus, we would get together, congregate, and tell stories about how we would be on POF. I'm at this one, I'm at that one, blah, 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 this, that, and the third. Just normal shit at the time, right? Normal activities. So, I had met this girl on, actually, it wasn't even one of them. It was another one. It was one of them little side character joints, like OK Cupid or something like that. Regardless of which one it was, I meet this girl. She from New Jersey, which is the state over from me, right? So, I like locking with her. We exchange numbers. And this the funny thing, I was just coming back from Atlanta at the time because me and I was like managing these artists at the time, right? And we had just come back from Atlanta around the time that I first met up with Shorty. So what was happening was this one, I had took down the artist I was managing at the time. This nigga got hit by a train, stupid ass. And I guess I drove on a train. I didn't get hit by the train, but I guess I dealt with some train tracks too, so I call myself stupid ass. But this dummy tried to cross the train tracks, got hit by the train. So I had got him a plane ticket. He wound up not being able to go. So I wound up taking his brother. And it was me, I had bought plane tickets for me, him, and it was a camera boy. So I found a way to switch the plane ticket from him to his brother, and the crazy part is me and his brother didn't get along. I'm telling y'all this part of the story because this like becomes a part of like what happened with Shorty, right? So she she arrived, what am I trying to say? I went to go see her, but what had happened, I had to go pick the camera boy up from the airport because like his flight was coming back through New Jersey, like Newark. So I had to drive up to Newark to pick him up from the airport. So on the way, I had went past Shorty crib. This is the first time I had seen Shorty. Whatever. And we was over there, we was chilling, and it resulted in her blowing me, right? Like, no questions asked, no rap. I recorded her and everything. It was crazy, right from the rip. Right? And then I was about to skate out because I had to go pick the young boy up from Newark, right? And, she was getting in her feelings. This was the red flag that this chick was clingy and crazy. And I used to ignore red flags like a motherfucker back in the day. I guess all of us have been there. It is what it is. But I wound up taking her with me. We went and pick young boy up. And it was crazy because I didn't even have to go because I was going to pick the brother and him up. And then the brother wound up getting a ride with the mom, which was fucking stupid that I had to drive out there for no reason because the dumbass young boy could have rode with the brother because they all lived in the same neighborhood. Anyways, that's another story time for another day. So me and Shorty just started talking. I won't even say kicking it, because when you kicking it with somebody, I would think, right, that there's a proponent of the situation that, you know, it's dating, right? When you start to talk to somebody. I mean, fucking with somebody like on that level before y'all get locked in is a recipe for disaster anyway, because women are crazy. They think just because y'all have sex that something special is going on. Like, everybody ain't got a dick in a pussy. It's the stupidest shit ever in the history of a thought process, but it is what it is. That's why I, like, you know, as of now, I keep my dick to myself. That's the main reason why I do, because women really start to think some shit just because y'all start having sex. It's fucking crazy, but whatever, it is what it is. But me and Shorty was like knocking boots, but I made it ever so clear to her when we first started talking, right? Like, it was no rap, no like maybe. It was, yo, I'm looking for a good time and not a long time. Like, literally, I don't want nothing outside of some banging and some head. I ain't trying to date. I ain't trying to do none of this shit. And the crazy part about it was Shorty at the time was dating. She would go out on a date. Like, she had this thing where she was going out on a date like once a week. I think it was like Wednesday or Thursday. She would go out on a date. And I was absolutely fine with it, because I didn't want to be her boyfriend. So I didn't want to be the one that was getting in the way of her finding a boyfriend, even though she was letting me dick her head off every chance she got, right? So, you know, we just kept kicking. I would go over her house. It would be late at night. I would go, stab out, and then I would roll. It was to the point, like, if I probably stayed there maybe once or twice, and it was because I probably like fell right to sleep because I was so deathly tired. You know, I would be getting up to leave. She would be like, "Where are you going?" I'd be like, "Home. I'm not staying here." I'd be putting my underwear on. She'd be looking at me like I was crazy. Like, this ain't that. I'm not about to lay up in this bed with you and be talking and cut. I ain't doing all that. I'm not even a cutler by nature. It ain't really what I like to do. So, wait, hold on, y'all. Hold on. Yeah, I'm back. That was my brother. He was calling me real quick. Shout out to my brother, Axis Jinx. Y'all gotta check him out on TikTok. His page is blowing up. His content is phenomenal and amazing. But that was him real quick. So, back to the story. So, you know, like, me and Shorty would just kick it. I would go over there. We would talk, blah, blah, blah. I would strap it up, bust her ass, and I would leave. This the crazy part, though. This is something that I didn't realize. Like, she was throwing hints out there that she had knew who I was, and like it had came to my attention that she knew my cousin, right? I got a cousin that lives just from up here, but she lives down south now or whatever. And so when I started putting two and two together, my cousin got married like back in, I want to say like 03, 04, 05, sometime back then, right? And Shorty and my cousin was like real tight, because my cousin had moved over to Jersey at one point before she wound up moving down south. And they would like be together all the time, because I think they worked at the same job or they lived around the corner. It was something, whatever it was, they was really, really cool or whatever. So she was at my cousin's wedding, and I didn't realize it at the time, right? Like, so this girl had known me, like when she came across me, she had known me from years prior, but I wasn't putting two and two together at first, right? So, so not for nothing, you know, like, at the time, this is when I was smoking real heavy and drinking real heavy. So it was fun. I was going over there. We would be getting high as a kite, smoking all kinds of stupid ass weed, and I would be drunk. She didn't really drink. She didn't drink like that, but like, she would smoke like a chimney. So we would smoke, get high, do it, and I would leave. So, like I said, I told her, like, I let her know, like, I like mess around with other women, you know what I mean? Just so you know, to give you the option to not fuck with me or fuck with me. Like, you know, it's your choice. Like, if you don't want to, that's cool, you know, but, you know, we could kick it and I'll come over here and knock you down. It'll be what it is, right? And so what I've learned about women is they're all like, yeah, that's cool, when they really don't be what they want. which is fucking weird. Women are very weird. They're weirder than us as men. They'll talk about us being liars and cheaters and blah blah blah. And 10 times out of 10, they be 10 times worse than we could ever be. Like because you know, the thing about us, we don't put too much thought into shit. Women think all the time. Like it be nonstop just thinking about things and shit like that, right? So, you know, she was acting like she was cool with it, blah, blah, blah. She would like be asking me, did I want to do stuff? And, you know, I'd always be like, no, no, I don't. I don't want to do nothing. We can go to the mall so you can buy me some clothes or something like that. Like I was real quick and slick for that. Like you want my attention, and that'd be the thing. Yo, don't ever let people like set your value, because if they set your value, they're going to set it low. Like I understand how you feel, and with understanding how you feel, like I'm going to charge you. Like you're going to get taxed, and one way or another, like, cause pussy is just pussy. I could get pussy anywhere. Clearly, at the time I was fucking more than one girl, right? So I could get it anywhere. That wasn't like really the go-between. So it has to be something of value that I feel like, and it always ain't got to be like a monetary thing. But at the time it was like, what the fuck else is there? I don't like you. So outside of me not liking you like that, and not for nothing, she was cool. Like I didn't like hate her, but I just didn't like her like that. I didn't want to be with her. I didn't want to be her boyfriend. I didn't see no future with her, nothing like that. Although in her head, I was her whole fucking boyfriend. She was planning a future. This shit was nuts. So, what wound up happening was, we started, I'm trying to think. This shit gets crazy, right? Like this shit was like ups and downs and all kinds of crazy shit that was going on. But I'm trying to find out like where to start the story, in a sense that y'all can like get the gist of how she progressively got to be a psychopath, right? She told me this story without putting too much of her business out there. I'm not gonna go through the whole story, but she told me the story about the boyfriend that was previous to her. And so shorty like had like money. She lived in his house. She lived in the house by herself. But it was her mom and dad's house, and they had both passed away. So I guess they had left it to her. She was living there. However, it worked out, and her mom like had like some money or whatever. She had some nice money, and it wound up getting left to her. And she was telling me this story about how she was fucking with this dude, right? And the dude, you know, that it was her boyfriend, and the dude, and I'm not judging. I don't want any. And this, let me give this this precursor before I start telling this story. Me telling this story is not to judge anybody, because Lord knows I done some dumb shit and some trifling shit in my day. Absolutely. So I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm just telling the story because it's a part of like my life. You know what I mean? Like I'm telling my perspective of the story. You could hear from her. She could tell you something very different, and I'm not even trying to take that away from her at this point. Like it's not about who's right or wrong. It's just a very entertaining story, and I decided to tell it. So with that being said, right? She was telling me about how she was fucking with this dude. And it's funny because the world is so fucking small. But the dude, when she got all the money, like after her mom died, the dude like came to her with like this plan that he wanted to open a barbershop, right? And she wound up giving him all this money. Like the exact amount, I don't know. Because she told me one thing. I remember my cousin mentioned something a little different, you know, and it's been so long that I could be making it up. But it was like north of or over 50K. Like it was a lot of money, right? Like so much so that like the boy, like I guess he got the space, got some of the equipment, but then the nigga like went to Cali. Like he went and got a condo in Cali, bought a BMW. Like, and was living over there the whole time, like they still like together, but he was living in Cali, so he was like living a whole nother life on her. And then the crazier part, when I say the world is so small, he like, I guess they like broke up. I could be telling this wrong, but then he started messing with this other girl, and I knew the other girl because the other girl's dad owned a nightclub that everybody went to, and And I met the girl at the nightclub. Me and the girl used to talk. Me and the girl never did nothing. She was real cool, real pretty girl. And her dad owned this nightclub. I guess they was from over Jersey and they was from New York or something like that. But the dad owned a nightclub. So the dude that was her old boyfriend started messing with this new girl. So like the whole time he was messing with the new girl, he was still messing with the chick that I eventually started fucking with. It was just a whole mess. Like I said, I'm not going to get into that, but I just wanted to give y'all that tidbit of her giving him that money for that barbershop, right? I think it's something on my screen. Oh, no, that's my son joint. Oh, shit, I can, like, brighten and lighten. Yeah, I'm learning how to... Oh, no, I don't want to do that, y'all. I don't want to do that. Excuse me for playing with my settings while I'm on in real time. But, yeah, y'all see. Yeah. Anyways, So what am I trying to? Oh yeah. So I gave y'all that part. So she was telling me this story, and in the beginning when people are like telling you things, they could be telling it from their perspective, but you're not really like looking at it from a standpoint of like it's going to be a problem for you, right? Because that's not how I viewed the shit. Boy, oh boy, I look at things a lot differently now. If somebody start kicking certain shit to me in the beginning, they'd be like, yeah, you're a psycho. I'm going to get the fuck out of here because you fucking crazy. But back in the day, I'm just not paying that shit no mind. It just is what it is, right? So, fast forward. Me and Shorty still fucking around, blah, 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 this, that, and the third, da-da-da-da-da. And this is like the winter into the summer. Because I think I fuck with Shorty like for like a year and some change. Like it was a nice little stretch of time. And it would be weird shit happening all over the place. Like my daughter mom would be saying like little smart shit about people saying shit to her online, and I'm not paying no attention. I had two girls fighting over me outside a club one day, and I drove off with a whole nother chick. I didn't give a fuck about nothing nobody was talking about. As long as I was just doing whatever the fuck I felt like I wanted to do, I ain't care, because it wasn't like it was like affecting me to the point where I felt like I needed to act on anything, right? I wasn't paying my daughter mom no mind. She'd get on my nerves, get the fuck out of my face, whatever. I'm not trying to hear this bullshit you talking, Because everything's choice related. At the end of the day, you're making the choice to fuck with me. Whatever comes with me is what comes with me. I'm not going to complain about some shit that I'm choosing to indulge in. That's just not who I am as a person. And I feel like as adults, we should never do that shit, right? Yeah, it's not always the case, especially with women, because their accountability is... it's non-existent. I'm about to say low, but it's non-existent. Women aren't accountable for shit ever. But I digress. Anyways, so like I had a studio at the time downtown. I was downtown in the 444 building, and she would come through and like, bruh, it would go down like she would just blow me. It was crazy. Like at one point I had so many like tapes of her in my phone of just the craziest shit, right? At some point, it's shit's all going now, I've erased all that stuff, and which is crazy. It's funny that she ran into a person like me who has that type of integrity and discretion for the things that I do behind closed doors. Cause like you'll come to learn that she was kind of asking for me to like put her ass on blast, but I never did it. Like I don't feel like I gained anything out of trying to put her on blast or whatever, right? So, moving on. I'm trying to think of the first thing that like really became a thing, and I might not be able to like lay it because the timeline is fuzzy. It's just I remember it was just so much crazy shit, but like. In the beginning, she would do things like tweet about me online and blah, blah, blah. And now Shorty had a Facebook, right? I ain't had Facebook. I remember I got on Facebook when Facebook went public. That was like in 2009. I was on Facebook for like all of 2 to 3 months. Got off, and I ain't had a Facebook ever since. The only thing that's remotely close to Facebook that I have is Instagram. Y'all can follow me, King Wayne. I guess I edited it on the screen somewhere around here, whatever. But at King Wayne, that's me on Instagram and on TikTok. Excuse me. But anyways, and back then Facebook didn't own Instagram, so Instagram was like the lit shit, blah blah blah. But she had a Facebook, and Shorty had an Android at the time. But I think Android had gotten to the game at this time, and her page was like private. So she used to do some shit. I remember we used to have this shit like Man Crush Monday and Woman Crush Wednesday. We used to do shit with hashtags back then and all kinds of stuff. So she posted me as her man crush on her page one. No. This was the first joint, right? Yeah, it was the man crush shit, right? She had posted me as her man crush on, wait, hold on. All right, I'm back. My phone rang again. I don't know who the fuck that was. I didn't answer it. I just sent it to voicemail, but it kind of stopped the camera. But she posted me as her man crush Monday, right? And, you know, the caption was like, I don't remember, but I feel like it said something about my him or whatever. And I'm not paying this shit no mind because I'm not nobody's him. Like, I'm just out here. I'm for the streets at this point. Like, I cannot even fucking lie. I am totally for the streets. I never would admit that when it was going on. For the streets. Like, and not in a way that was messy. I feel like everything that ever happened messy with me was messy because the women I was fucking with was messy. It wasn't never because of me. Like, I always knew how to keep my mouth shut about things. I'm a compartmental. I'm very good at compartmentalizing things and having people on a need to know basis. Like, I'm not telling everybody all my business all the time. It's certain things my best friends don't even know sometimes until I'm ready to tell them, right? So, she was clearly being messy, right? And somebody I knew wound up commenting on her post, and I remember reading it, and it struck me as odd because he was like, you know, he's a good dude, and she said some shit like, yeah, it was well worth the wait, and I'm like scratching my head, like, wait, what you talking about? Like, you needed some good dick or something? Like, that wait is what you talking about? Because, like, this ain't no relationship or nothing like that. But whatever, another red flag on the play that I just ignored. It was what it was, right? So that was like the first thing that was like the first straw. And like, remember I told you I was messing with this girl that lived in Louisiana, right? So I would fly down to go see her, blah, 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 this, that, and the third. And me and her was a little more like tapped in. So like, you know, like we would talk online, like to each other on Twitter and shit like that. It was kind of like people could kind of tell that me and her fucked with each other. Like you could look at it and see it, right? It was like no mistaking about it. So I think that was the motivation for Shorty trying to be as messy as she was with doing little shit. And mind you, I'm not thinking like on the terms of, because it's like certain shit I'm not going to do, right? So I'm not really studying online that much like people's actions. It was at a point like back then when I was like on Instagram and I had like, I know Twitter, I had like 80 or 90,000 followers at the particular time. And on Instagram, I had gotten up to as high as 150,000 followers. Now this is back in the, you know, like the late 2000s, early 2010s, right? When all this shit first was popping or whatever. And like, everybody knew me. I was fucking with chicks from all over the country. I would be flying chicks out, flying to see chicks. It was just a lot going on, right? So, but the whole time, because I've always had this idea that like when I leave a room or leave a space, nobody thinks about me no more. Like once I'm gone, any conversation that was going on about me ceased at that point. And then like it wasn't until people saw me again that I became a topic of conversation, right? Because that's how I work. Like if I don't see you, I'm not really thinking about you, right? Like that's just not how my brain works. Boy, was I fucking wrong. Like I've never could have guessed in a million years. I will say about Shorty, she sharpened me up a lot about the way to move and how to do things, because before her was a lot of shit that I just was not taking into consideration. And before her, it wasn't like it was a new thing. I had been running through chicks and moving around in a way and not even paying attention to it. Like, you know, niggas could be like on my tail based on it and like all kinds of shit that I just wasn't thinking about because I just wasn't thinking about it, right? And you know how you could go on people's pages and probably like shit and blah, blah, blah. It started to come out that that's what was going on. So she like on my little Shorty page and she probably like finger slip, not even finger slip. I'm sure she did it on purpose, like liking a picture on my baby mom page, liking a picture on any little chick that I might be like fucking with, liking pictures and doing shit like that. Right. So, Um, 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 I'm trying to think because I don't want to like get ahead of myself with this story. Uh, Maybe this came a little sooner than I thought. Maybe so. So she had a pool at her house, right? And the pool was like it wasn't functional, right? So I remember one time I was over her house and I was like, "Yo, you should get your pool back together or whatever," right? And sure enough, she eventually did it. Whatever. I kind of helped her get it all back up and running, and my genius ass was like, "Yo, we should have a pool party." I was like, "I'm gonna throw a pool party, and it'd be like my joint, but it's gonna be at your house." And in her mind, I guess it was like me and her was throwing it as a couple. It was like, nah, that's not how this is. So we was throwing this pool party. I invited all these people, but the week previous to the pool party, I had went to Virginia. And I went to Virginia back then. I'm cool with AI. So and so he had like this celebrity. What was it? The Top Golf weekend in Virginia, right? So we went down for that, blah blah blah, and just had a fucking ball down there during that weekend. And I had met this girl. I forget where she's from. I forget her name. I remember exactly what she looked like, but I remember I met her, right? And when I met Shorty, we was all at the same hotel, whatever the host hotel was. And I remember what's her name was in the room that was next to our room or a couple doors down. The boy, what's that boy name that be online? He like jumped in the helicopter, but then jumped out. He like jumped out the helicopter, but he was never in it. Big Fendi, right? So Shorty wound up going to the room with Big Fendi, but like me and her had kind of like locked in before it, and I was trying to get her to be on my type time, but she wound up going to the room with Big Fendi. Shout out to Big Fendi. I'm not a hater. It is what it is. I had another little chick that I was fucking with, so it worked out. It was cool. But then like the next day I saw her again, and we wound up exchanging numbers because I still wanted to run down on Shorty. Shorty was thick as all outside. Dark skin, she had blonde hair. She was gorgeous, right? I mean, she was crazy. So we wound up exchanging numbers, and what happened was AI then was going to do something the next weekend in Philly. So it was her and her girlfriend. She was like, "Yo, we gonna come up there next weekend," and I was like, "All right, cool. I'm having this pool party. You gotta pull up, right?" So fast forward to the pool party. Oh, before we get to the pool party, right? She had this cousin. Oh man, before that, shit, I'm skipping over stuff, right? So. And I'm skipping over that because what happened with the cousin was a result of what I'm about to tell y'all. So one day she like, I had went to a crib. I had rode across the bridge, went to a crib, and she said something that pissed me off. Something like that. Like she said something like, I don't know. I don't remember exactly what she said, but she like came at me some kind of way. What she said, I don't remember, but I just remember like her being so on my shit that I was like, okay, that's how you feel. I'm leaving then. Fuck you, right? So I get ready to walk out the door, and she's like damn on her knees, like, please, no, just give me something before you go. And I'm like, no, I'm not on that type time. I don't even want to do it, right? And she was like, please, I'll do whatever you want, right? So I was like, you'll do whatever I want. She's like, yeah, come on, please. I swear I'm not making this up. So I was like, I want you to eat my, I don't know how YouTube work with the censoring and shit like that. I know sometimes I see people curse. I know sometimes people be bleeping it out. I'm like an uncensorable person, but I'm trying to follow the rules so they don't take this page too. Because they took my last page of Jones fully monetized, and they just took that shit one day. But it is what it is. That's going to be a whole nother story time, but whatever. It is what it is. And she was like, all right, cool, it's done, right? And I didn't want my ass ate, even though I had got it ate before. It was kind of a good experience. I ain't gonna front. But I ain't want it from her. I was like, I just was throwing it out there. And then I was like, you know what? Promise you, I've never done this before then. I was like, yo, you should. No, did I? Was other shorty before or after? I'll remember the time frame because I've only done it to two chicks. This girl and another girl that I used to mess with that lived in Atlanta. I did it there too. I was like, you gotta let me piss on you. Cool. All right. So, we went, did the do. When it was done, she went, sat in the bathtub, and I you know, I got my R. Kelly on, right? Not the R. Kelly that be like with the young girls, no, but the R. Kelly that, you know, golden showers. Absolutely. So I gave her the golden shower. You know, I kind of got her all like in this area, and you know, I ain't get all up in the face region or like that. But anyways, let's put a pin in that, right? So, she had this cousin, right? And the cousin lived in New York, or was from New York, or lived in North Jersey or some shit like that, right? No, I think she lived in New York, right? And she would always tell me about her cousin. Her cousin was like, you know, and the thing was, it wasn't even like a real cousin. Like, it, you know, how we all got cousins, whatever. It was like that type time, right? So she, but they was real close. I guess they had known each other for forever and a day. She would always tell me about this chick. I never saw her, but she would always be mentioning her and blah blah blah. And I'm pretty sure Shorty knew everything about me at this point, right? So once she had got the pool back up and running, like it was a Friday night. I'll never forget this shit. It was a Friday night. I was high and drunk out of my mind, right? So her cousin was coming down that weekend. So she was like, my cousin gonna be here. We gonna open the pool up. I was like, all right, I'll be over there. So I went, I'm driving across the bridge, smoking while I'm driving. I used to be tripping, smoking while I'm driving, just wilding out, right? So I get there, and the way you walked into her house, like you walk in the front door, and it's like a little vestibule, I guess, hallway. And like if the steps were like right here, and then it was like a living room right there, then it was another room right here. It was a nice size house. Then like you could go through that living room and come around, and it was like this little other area, and then it was like the kitchen, right? And then when you walked in, it was this like the steps to go upstairs. So then the kitchen had the door that led to the backyard where the pool was at. And she used to have this table that was over by. Well, I remember one time I spray painted my name on the wall. Well, I didn't do the whole thing. You ever see the episode of? I don't know if y'all remember. Old school people remember The Tick. The Tick was a show back in the day, right? But The Tick had an episode where he had this villain named Chairface, and Chairface went and was about to carve his name into the moon, but the Tick stopped him. That's what I always think about when I think about I was writing my name on a wall. I didn't write the whole name out, but I got like a nice little amount out. But then she stopped me, so I stopped like in part of the letter. I think it was the S. But anyways, right? I walk in, and her cousin's there, right? And she, you know, this is a short little chubby chick, nothing special. But you know, I've said in videos before, we hit nothing special all the time. Like that's not a deterrent for us men, at least not for me. So I didn't hit 10s and 1s. I didn't hit 2 4s at the same time to make it 8. I didn't done all kinds of craziness. But anyways, I come in and I walk in, and you know, she was like, this is my cousin, blah blah blah. First thing out my mouth, y'all, I swear to God, and blame it on me being a heathen at the time. I was high, I was acting crazy. It wasn't, hi, how you doing, nice to meet you, none of that shit. It was, I'm fucking both y'all tonight. I promise that's what I said out my mouth, right? So, anyways, we in the pool, and at the time I was messing around with this other chick, right? And I guess I was being, no, I wasn't even really being messy, right? I wasn't. But we had took this picture. I was messing with this other chick, right? And the other chick I had told, this was another chick that was from up here. This little light-skinned joint I was messing with. And I told her too, like, this ain't no one-on-one shit. This is what it is. It is what it is, right? So, me and Shorty, like, we at the pool, like, we taking pictures. And she posted one of the pictures on her Twitter and wrote, like, I win, you lose. It was something like that. I never forget that shit. Because then, like, Shorty started texting me, like, blowing my phone up, right? So, whatever, that happened. We was drinking Patron that night. We had a bottle of Patron. We was drinking Patron that night. And I wound up, yeah, like, and I didn't nail both of them to the cross. I'm always keep it real about the things that I've done, right? I didn't nail both of them to the cross, but, like, because at first her cousin was acting like she didn't work with. She was in a room with us. Well, I was, like, tearing her cousin a new asshole. She was in a room with us. So she wound up, like, blowing me or whatever, right? So I remember like we had made it from her room and she had like a guest room. We had made it into the guest room. It was getting wild, right? And we in the guest room and she this is when I was like, something is a little off about this girl. Like she like a little she missing a little something. Like it's a little bit of like a chromosome missing, or like not a chromosome, but like she not wired all the way right. She was arguing with the phone. Like nobody was on it though. Like she was arguing, like Shorty was tweeting, right? And she was arguing with the girl's tweets. While me and her cousin, like her cousin's blowing me, she's arguing with the girl's tweets. It was bizarre. Like I just remember I was high, and I remember at the time I was like, "This is some bizarre shit that's happening right now." Like she's really like I could feel the emotion like coming from her about how she was like pissed about what was going on. Right? Another red flag on the play that I just totally ignored, but whatever. So, you know, like once we finished and blah, 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 you know, I did my thing. We went in the bathroom and R. Kelly time. I started to, wait, hold on, y'all. All right, I'm back. So yeah, like I was saying, I started R. Kelly and the crazy part was Shorty took it from me. And she just started aiming it, and she was aiming it all in her face and in her head. It was nuts. I mean, this was some wild. There was some wild things going on back then. I've been in some wild scenarios when it came to women. So that was that. Then I wound up going to VA after that, meeting the Shorty. So the next week, right, the party's happening, and Shorty come to town. Her girlfriend, they come to town. So it's going down. It is what it is. So, you know, people come to the cookout joint. It was all that. We had all this liquor. Everybody brought a bottle. Like all the fellas to get in, the fellas had to bring a bottle, right? So all the fellas brought a bottle. All the ladies just came. And we was having a good old time, right? And Shorty wound up coming, her and her girlfriend, right? So, you know, we there, we getting the smoking, drinking, we vibing, blah, 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 this and the third. So the girl wound up going outside because I guess she was feeling it was just so much going on. I remember I went out there just to check on her, and I'm talking to her, and I'm like, yo, like, we about to get into some magic later on, me, you, and Shorty. And Shorty was down, like, all right. She was like, yeah, it's what it is, right? I'm like, my kind of girl, yeah, let's get it popping, right? So I go back in, and I go grab the chick. And I take her out to the car, and I introduce her. I'm like, yo, this such and such. I was like, you know, we all going to have a threesome later. I was like, get acquainted. And I like sat her on the girl lap in the car, and I walked back in the house. Funny shit is when I walked back in the house, remember I was telling y'all when you come into her house, it's a room, you can go this way or this way. It was a room to this side, right? I'll never forget this for the rest of my days. Certain things that just are going to stick with me forever. The room was black, like it was, because it was getting a little darker. Because I remember it rained and like everybody came in the house and it was starting to roll, but then the rain let up and then people started going back out and getting into the pool, right? So it was getting a little darker. It was like getting to be dusk, nighttime. And this room to the left when you walked in was pitch black. Like it was like the lights were off. Like so in my mind, nobody was in there. So I'm walking in to walk back and go back outside, and all I hear out the darkness is, never have I ever sucked a dick on the beach. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. I look in the room, I flash my light on my phone, like they're in there playing Never Can I Ever for shots. It's going, like when I say this party was legendary, shit is going down. Going down. I can only say good things about that party. I can't front. Like that was, I even think Shorty would have to admit that was a great party. Like it was such a vibe that night. So anyways, later on, Shorty, you know, I guess after they chop it up, Shorty comes back to me, and she was like, yeah, she gonna stay and kick it with us later. She was like, but she just gonna give you head. And I was like, excuse me? I said, well, listen here. I said, I'm having sex with Shorty. I said, you got two options. Either you can or you can't. I was like, but that's who I'm hitting tonight. So either you're going to involve yourself or you're not. I could always take her back to my spot and hit her, and that could just be it, right? That's what I said. I just was being honest. It wasn't no negotiating with this. It was what it was. So party happens, blah, 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 this, that, and the third, everything going up. I remember that night somebody got hit by a car. It was crazy. It was crazy. I remember Shorty had this girlfriend. This girlfriend had such a big ass. I forget the girl name. That girl, that I wanted to do something with her too, but it never worked out like that. Anyways, it was. I only think of her because it was her boyfriend that wound up getting hit. He got hit by a car. It was crazy. It was this night was wild. Like this was some wild shit that was going on. And and this the funny shit. I was on some like real like what do we want to call it? I was on some real like superstar shit at this particular time, because I remember my boy came and he used to do security, right? He came and he picked me up. I ain't have no shoes on or nothing. It was another crazy pool party going on like around the corner. He came, he pulled up in a truck. My boy used to do security. He used to have a security job called D-Line, right? So he pulls up, I come out, I jump in the back of the truck. He takes me around to the other pool party. I don't have shoes on or nothing. He just drives me to the other pool party. Other pool party going crazy. I told everybody, it was getting ready to end. I was like, look, we still rolling around the corner. If y'all still want to get into something, come around the corner. So some people came from that joint. This party got out. Nothing crazy happened outside of Boy getting hit by the car, which was kind of funny. The cops came, but it wasn't like no craziness where people had to get locked up or whatever. So once everything cooled down, me and the two shorties went to the room. We did what we did, and the rest was history. I like pinned them down for a couple hours, no Blue Chew. It was some wild stuff, right? So the next day, like we had stayed the night. The shorties wound up staying. The girl and her girlfriend wound up staying. So we, they slept in the bed with me all night. The next morning, we had got back up. We were still drinking, and I just remember. This boy I used to be cool with, he like left and came back. And when he came back, like we was all sitting at the table. I think we was playing cards or eating or something. And the shorty that came up from, that I met in Virginia the week prior, she was staring at me. And I remember my boy was like, what did you do to this girl last night? Like, why is she staring at you like that? I said, yeah, it is what it is. So anyways, it's crazy because I never seen Shorty again after that. We talked a little bit after that, but I think she lived in North Carolina, if I am mistaken. But like, distance, and it just didn't really go like that. So it never like really materialized into anything after that one good night, right? So pushing forward with Shorty, I remember we went to they had like these basketball games up here. They call it the Rump Tournament. And she had came up to the Rump Tournament one year. And I remember the other shorty that I was telling you about, when me and her cousin was doing it, they was like arguing. Well, they was arguing. She was arguing with the girl Tweets. That girl like was texting me like as if she was going to do something to the girl at the Rump Tournament. It was craziness, right? But like this girl would like come out to things, like she came out to the Rump Tournament. Like it's not like we came together. Like she just came, I was there. But in her mind, this was like me showing her off, and it was like I remember I had walked into a car, and then another little John was walking past, and I started walking with her, and I wound up getting her phone number. Like that's the type of time I was on back then. And it wasn't like a personal thing, it just was what I was doing, right? Like I was trying to let Shorty know, like it wasn't even trying. I was letting her know. I remember one time we was doing it or whatever, and one thing about me is I hate condoms. Like I guess most grown adults can attest to that. They suck. They're the worst shit that you can use. It is what it is, right? But I never, not once, did not use a condom with her. Like never, not once. I never like got my shit off from doing it to her. It was always her throat work. Always. That's just how it went. I would make sure she was cool, and then it was like, all right, get to work. That was always how that went, right? Never chewed her box up, never kissed her, never none of this stuff. This is not what I did with this girl, just so she got the idea. What I'm saying is to say, I remember one time I was like, I'm just not feeling it. And she was like, well, what's wrong? I was like, it's this condom. Like, I don't like this joint. And she said, like, slickly, slyly, well, take it off, right? You know what I did? I pulled out, went to a nightstand, and got another condom put on top of the other condom, and did it so with two condoms on. I was like, it was a bad. I ain't gonna say it was a bad situation, but it was like, you're not listening to me. Like I need you to know this ain't that. This ain't gonna be that. Like so, whenever you ready to bow out of this, it's gonna be what it is. So I remember one time we wound up stop talk. We did stop talking or whatever, right? Um, and oof, I'm losing track of like some of the events here. I'm trying to think of when the craziness started like really happening. Remember I was telling y'all she was like liking and hitting my little chick that was living in Louisiana's like page, like trying to make her presence be known. At this time she had made her Instagram page like locked. So I couldn't see it, right? Because it was locked. You know, people got their private page, you can't see what they got on them. I wasn't following her. And so she was cool with this girl that went to high school together that my cousin, my older cousin, is cool with. And I remember one time I was at my older cousin's house and her girlfriend was there. And I had known her girlfriend for a while. I remember she was asking me, like, what are you doing to my girlfriend? And I used to be like, nothing. Like, what is it? And she was like, she be posting pictures of you. And mind you, I can't see it. Like, so I'm not even really thinking it's what it is. But at one point, she had like 7 pictures of me on her page. Bro, it was crazy. Then, like I was telling y'all about Facebook, she had made this Facebook joint, right? And it was like a collage carousel of pictures of me, right? And I think she was probably in 1 or 2 because, you know, we was in different places and pictures get taken. It is what it is. And she had like sent it to Shorty, right? And the crazy part was she sent it to Shorty, and then she wrote Shorty's sister. I think she sent it to Shorty's sister. She like sent it to Shorty's sister, and she wrote her this message like, "You think your sister a dummy?" Blah blah blah. It was like on that type time, right? But this the kicker, you know. Like Shorty called me, and the crazy part about the joint I was messing with Louisiana, she was cool. Like she, you know. I ain't trying to say she wasn't mad or hurt, but she wasn't like a spaz. Like she didn't spaz about shit like this. So she was like presenting it to me like, I don't know what you got going on up there, but it's making its way down here. And I'm like, I can't even fathom this type of shit going on because the amount of research you got to do to make some shit like this happen. It's one thing to see Shorty because me and Shorty is talking. But like to get to her sister is a whole nother level of fucking crazy, right? A whole nother fucking level of crazy that I just didn't understand. And so you know, I had checked her about it or whatever. And we had stopped talking for a while. And I'm trying to remember how that shit went next. And me being a nigga, I wound up hitting her again. You know, because we don't know when enough is enough sometimes. You know, we just as dumb as women is as men. So, you know, I'm not in any way, shape, or form not taking accountability for my part in all of this mess because it all starts with me, right? Like, I'm the one who made all this shit possible, right? That's actually kind of fly that I could make this type of shit possible. But anyways, so Shorty wound up... hit me with this 1-2 talking about wanting to like start a business, right? She was like, let's start a business, let's do something, blah blah blah, this, that, and the third, right? I'm like, well, what type of business you trying to start? I was fucking with music at the time, but I was like, that's all I do is music. I was like, the only business I could really teach you how to start is a tag business. I used to do auto tags back in the day. So I was thinking of something that like, cause I wasn't trying to go into business with her. The way she structured it was like, you know, she had some money, she wanted to start something up. All right, cool. It is what it is. So I was like, if we're gonna start this, like, I'm gonna charge you 10 racks. Like with the 10 racks, it's gonna cover like startup costs to make shit happen, and it'll cover something for me for doing this. You know what I mean? And I was like, I wrote it. I did it all. I wrote it up. I wrote up a contract, paperwork. We got a contract notarized. It was all this shit that happened. Remember, I told y'all she did the shit with the boy, right? Now, I was saying I don't know what could be true or what could not be true. It could have been that Bull was fucking with the other shorty when she did this, or they was together. But the way she did it with me was she worded it, and that's what she used to do. I'm skipping past the part of like when I confronted her about the email. This is like, you know how people talk. So, and oftentimes, or more times than not, people write the exact way they talk. So that's how we knew it was her, because she sent the email to my the chick I was fucking with, sister at the time, and she was denying it. She was acting as if she didn't do it. And then when I finally like got her to admit to it, she blamed it on the cousin, the little chick that we had the threesome with. She was like she didn't like the way you was treating me, blah blah blah. Like, it was so many red flags and signs that was like, this girl is a lunatic, Jason. Leave her the fuck alone. But I just didn't do it, right? So fast forward to this little deal we putting together, right? So, and mind you, it took like a while. Like she put it together. She didn't really want to do it. I could tell like she was just doing this as a ploy to get me to look at her a certain way. Like, she's probably in her head like, well, maybe if me and him start a business, he'll look like. That's how women think, that if you do certain things that will change our mind. No, we going to change our mind when we ready to change our mind. We move by the beats of our own drums as men. Well, at least I'll say I do. I ain't gonna speak for all men. I ain't gonna do that. But I know women I've dealt with like try to do shit to make you be different. It's like, no, I am who I am. Like, this is what you accepted, right? Like, this is the choice of who you chose to fuck with. So why you magically waiting for me to change into a whole nother person is fucking insane to me. But anyways, right? This shit loops back around with my shorty. Like, she like, all right, so like it took her a minute we went, got the contract notarized, all that shit, and it took a while before she even like started like paying. Now, the Avantag place, you gotta be a Pennsylvania resident. She had this whole idea where she was gonna like use her girlfriend's address, blah blah blah, this that and the third, and do all this stuff. Now, mind you, part of this I can't even do because she's the one that's applying for the license for the business and all of this hoopla, right? So with that being said, I'm waiting. I'm playing the waiting game. So eventually, you know, she wound up giving me eight grand. That was the first. She wrote me a check. It was a cashier's check, right? She gave me the $8,000. That's when we started. Mind you, it was 10, right? But she gave me 8. So then, you know, I would ask her, like, time was just going and going and going. I would just ask her what's up. She like, this ain't happened, that ain't happened. She never really wanted to do it at all. Like, this was just some shit she was on. And mind you, like through everything that wound up happening, she gave me $8,500. Because again, she gave me like $500 after a while, and this was probably weeks, maybe even months after that, right? She had gave me $500. So this was the straw that broke the camel's back, and this is what sent this shit into like a whole nother gear. I was talking to my shorty from Louisiana one day, and we was talking about us and blah, blah, blah. She was like, I can't really be messing around with you like that. You got chicks that got your picture on their page and stuff. So I'm like lost. Because mind you, I'd already dealt with this. So I'm thinking like she done took it down and she respecting what I'm asking for. Because I'm telling her, don't post me on your page. Like, don't do that. I'm not your nigga. Don't post me on your page, right? Whole time, her page locked, she posted picture after picture after picture after picture, right? So she wound up sending me a screenshot, right, of it. So this like late at night one night. It's like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's during the week. I told Shorty, I'll call you later. I'm gonna call you back. I hung up. I called Shorty. She didn't answer the first time. So I hung up and I called her again. She picked up. I'm like, yo, why do you have me on your page? She, acting like she's still asleep. No, you can hear me if you So we like going at it. So I'm like cussing Shorty out because I'm like, I told you this with my mouth to your face, not over the phone, not over a text message. Take me off your shit. I'm not your nigga. Then she started like, you know, giving it back, blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, so the end of that conversation was, I'm done with you. Like, I'm leaving you alone. So then later on, she hit me and she was like asking about the money. No, you're not getting a dime back from me. You're crazy. You're crazy. The way you played with me and everything that I asked you not to do, you thought that, no, absolutely not. That's out the question. You're done. You're done. So she wound up sending an email. Remember I told y'all she sent something to Shorty's sister. She wound up sending this email to Shorty's mom. about like your daughter a dummy messing with him. He be messing with girl, and then she was like, he be fucking with girls all up in Jersey and all through Philly, blah blah. Well, she mentioned Jersey, so I know it's you, whatever. So after that, it was like all downhill from there. So then eventually, like time had passed, and Shorty started like tweeting me like real crazy, like give me my money back and blah blah blah, and this is that and the third. And I was ignoring it all. Like I'm just high stepping. I'm not worrying about shit she talking about. Cause mind y'all, like I said, we signed this contract. What wound up happening, cause I had an office at the time, and like even with that, y'all, like I had offered, like, cause she was trying to use her girlfriend. Her girlfriend ain't like me. Her girlfriend was a hater. It was what it was, But I was indicted in Puerto Rico. And it wasn't anything that I like didn't care to disclose. That's why I didn't have a tag place at that point, because I Puerto Rico when I had my tag place. Her girlfriend wound up she was saying her girlfriend like found my Rico and sent it to her. Although I think she did it, which was like, okay, like I don't really care about that. This ain't like no secret. It's public knowledge that Puerto Rico. It is what it is, right? So her girlfriend never liked me. Like, like she never liked me. That just was what it was. She was a hating ass bitch. I didn't care because I wasn't trying to be her friend's husband or nothing like that. I could care less if your girlfriends like me or not, right? So, anyways, where am I at with it? Where am I at with it, y'all? So Shorty wound up going on Twitter and like was just talking like mad shit. Oh, that's what I was saying. So like I had offered for her to use my address once like she finally told me Shorty didn't want her to use her address so I could put this business together for her. So I was like, you can use my address at my office. She just had to switch her shit over to Pennsylvania so then she can apply for the license or whatever. But she never did it because like I said, that wasn't the case for it. But with her having my office address, she wound up mailing me this and I don't know, I guess people think I'm stupid. It is what it is. Like, she like mailed me this certified letter. It was from a lawyer. I guess it was a lawyer she knew. And it said something to the effect of like, pay back this money or we're going to take you to court, blah, 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 this, that, and the third. I had a shredder in my office. I like took the shit and put it in the shredder. Like, we have a contract. Who you think you're talking to? Like, this contract was in the event that, like, I get paid for the attempt. Like, I'm not here to guarantee that anything was going to happen. I get paid for the attempt. And I didn't even have to do the attempt because you didn't do what you needed to do for us to even make shit happen. And after you playing with me and playing in my face and doing all this shit and being messy, I'm going to take that as my consolation prize for all the trouble that I went through even fucking with your ass in the first place. Like, literally, that's the same time I was on. But anyways, she wound up getting messy, blah, blah, blah. All on Twitter, people be asking me. I'd be like, I don't know, bitch is crazy. I remember the one time she like was going off on Twitter, and I remember for a quick second I had like I put a picture of the contract up on, but I took it back down because I don't be wanting people in my business like that. I mean, I could care less about the shit now. That's water under the bridge. It is what it is. I don't feel no type of way about none of this shit at this point in my life. And I remember I was talking to my cousin about it. And, I was like, yo, your girlfriend, she a lunatic, da-da-da-da-da. And I was, and I remember sending my cousin, no, that's what I did. I sent my cousin a picture of the contract. We was texting. And I remember my cousin wrote back, like, she signed the contract, she's an idiot. Like, she said this or whatever, right? And we laughing about it, and that's what I wound up putting up. I had put like the screenshot of my text message with my cousin of her calling her an idiot, right? Then I remember my cousin called me and was like, why you put me in there? I'm sorry, cuz I just had to sting her real fast. I'm a Scorpio. I had to sting her real fast because she wasn't respecting my space and like she wasn't respecting it. But even after that, she just, like, time was going on. She just kept tweeting and tweeting and tweeting and tweeting and tweeting, right? This like 2017. So eventually, I just ignored the chick, blah, blah, blah. And I remember I would, like, go look at her page from time to time to see shit. And she would be responding to, like, tweets I was just tweeting. And I'm just generally tweeting. And she would be responding to the tweets. Like, she was really... Remember I said she was arguing with the chick tweets on the phone? Like, anyways... Time passes, a year like goes past. I swear to God, it's like 2018. 2:22 on the clock. I get an email out of nowhere, it's her. It's this long ass email she's sending me talking about, I hope all is past. Like, I don't hate you, blah, blah, blah. Shorty was in love with me, yo. Regardless of anything that happened, Shorty was infatuated with me. That this was just the truth about what was going on. Me and all my mess, she loved it. Because, like, this email just showed it. So it was like, damn, she just came out of nowhere. And at the time, I was messing with this girl who wound up becoming my girlfriend, right? So, like I wound up hitting her up because I don't hold no grudges with nobody about nothing. Like, it's just not the type of person I am. I might not fuck with you, but I'm not going to hold no grudges about shit. I don't really care about shit that deeply, right? Even with me telling this story, it's not the, like shame her. It's more so talking about stories of things I've been through. Like, I hope she's doing well with life at this point, or at least better than she was back then. Because she was in a bad space, obviously. Because I feel like in life, things don't always have it. Things are like often a reflection of where you are and what you're going through, right? So it is what it is. Shorty used to be in her crib with her shades shut in the dark. One time I went in the house and I opened the shades like, "Yo, get some light in here. Like, what's wrong?" She was going through some shit. And she was searching for something. I don't know. Anyways. We had talked and I was like, she was like, I would like to see you. I was like, all right, well, come link up with me. So she drove across the bridge. At the time I had this intern. He was a nut ass nigga. He turned out to be from Jersey. Something about people from New Jersey. Just people from Jersey. The people in South Jersey won't be like Philly. The people in North Jersey won't be like New York. In the middle of the state, it's just like, who knows? Anyway, it never fails when it comes to people from Jersey. Like, they just never cease to amaze me at how lame they are. Anyways, she wound up coming over with me, and my intern was at my office. So, like, I had her take me and my intern to get sushi. He can attest from this with his bitch ass. He a bitch ass nigga, but he can attest to this. With his bitch ass, she took us. We went down Spring Garden, and we went to the sushi spot, and we chopped it up, blah, 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 ate sushi, da-da-da-da-da. Then I wound up I was at the time doing business with these dudes that, like, ran the condos at this spot down Ray Street downtown. And this was the time I was, like, moving around with Uzi, like, playing, like, interim manager, if you will. It wasn't, like, all the way locked in, but I was playing my position. I was managing this kid, Zai Sosa, and it had parlayed into me being with Uzi and moving around with him a little bit, right? So I had put him in contact with these people, and we had got him, like, housing downtown in this spot. And, like, I was trying to do this with other artists. That's how I wound up meeting Chadwick Boseman. It was a good little vibe that was going on around that time. So she wound up going downtown with me there. We was on the roof. And I remember one of the boys that I used to be with was like, "Yo, what's wrong with her? Like, she's crazy." Like, they said this to me, right? And I'm like, I don't know, like, she just here for the ride, blah, blah, blah. So after all that, we wound up going back to my office. And, my shorty was calling me. She was wondering where I was at. And I'm with this chick or whatever. And I'm texting her like, "Yo, I'm doing something." And I'm not, the crazy part is I'm not even planning on doing nothing with this chick. Like, I'm just trying to cap the night so she can go her ass back across the bridge. But mind you, we was smoking, drinking, blah, blah, blah. So we was upstairs on the roof of my building. I used to have like this little rooftop in the back of my building. We was sitting out there, we was smoking. So then me and her wound up walking downstairs, right? And then she was talking. She was getting ready. Well, I was trying to prepare to leave, and she wound up, like, we had hugged, and then she was like, we should do, like, she wanted to do it. That was it. Like, then I was like, nah, I'm not on that type of time. I was messing with the shorty, so I was chilling anyway. After all the nonsense I had went through with shorty, I wasn't going there with her again. I just wasn't doing it, right? So she was mentioning to me about the dude she was messing with and how he didn't like to get head, so she wanted to give me some. And it was like, nah, I'm cool, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, but I'm drunk. I don't want to drive home like this. I'm like, you're going to be all right. I'm just trying to get her out the door so I can go get with my shorty and just go head back to her house, right? So I was like, I'm going to holler at you. It was nice seeing you, blah, blah, blah. This is the third. So she wound up getting in the car. She left. And, she texted me when she got home. Nice to see you, all that type of stuff. So we had talked for like 2 or 3 more days, right? She was supposed to hook me up with this lady that, like, did this holistic shit at the time or whatever, right? And then, like, I remember the weekend passed, and then I text her, like, on that Monday, and she didn't text me back no more, but I didn't think nothing of it. And then after that, that's when she just, like, back to Twitter like ripping me a new asshole. So I guess me rejecting her was like more of an insult. She was back to it. I was like, ugh, what, like, but like red flags. They were there, and I just kept ignoring them, right? So, you know, that's pretty much the story. And funnier part to this, like I said, I hope she's doing well. I really do. But like 2020, 2021, I was messing with this other girl, right? And, you know, she lived out of town, so she would come up, blah, blah, blah. So I remember one time, the other girl, she like took a picture. I had this yellow couch, and this joint was like, if you saw it, you knew it was my couch. Like, even if you're looking in pictures, if it was just a picture of the couch, that's Jason's couch, right? So I remember one time Shorty like was at my house and she took the picture on my couch, and I like got in her ass like, yo, don't be taking no pictures in my house and putting them on your page. Don't do that. Cause I'm thinking about Shorty and how she moved, and I'm just thinking about people now, because that's just how my brain started working. It's complex thinking that like it's thinking 10 steps ahead, right? And then like even with Shorty, I wasn't messing with her like that. We was just kicking it, even though we was kicking it, but it was like, you know, you come, we kick it, you go home, and that's what it was, right? Sure enough, out of nowhere, Shorty hit me and she was like, I just got this email and it was from the girl. It was anonymous, but it was from the girl, yo. The girl, and mind you, like the last time I had seen her was 2018. This was 2021. So that meant that was it 21 or 22? When was I living in Drexel Hill? It was either 21 or 22. I think it was 21 though. And mind you, I hadn't seen or heard from her since that night in 2018. So this is 3 years later, and Shorty like still like clocking me and what's going on, which means she has had to have seen like Shorty. And it's not like I have a posted Shorty with @Shorty. So it's like, do you understand how your brain has to work for you to be able to do that type of shit, to figure that out? Shorty was like, I remember one time I had flew to Houston. Because the other Shorty I was messing with that lived in Louisiana is different from the other one. She was living in Houston, but she was moving to LA. So she asked me, she asked some dude that was supposed to like move her, but he didn't. So she asked me, could I help her? So I flew down and drove with her. And somehow she knew, because she like tweeted like, two people on a road trip. It was messy. It was during the time like the messiness was going on, when she was tweeting me being messy, and she said something about like the other chick that she was arguing with through the phone, and me and the chick like on the road going to it was like the shit she knew was crazy. Like she really was a psychopath. But yeah, like I you know, that was just the crazy story of you know, me dealing with a real psycho. You know, hopefully she's doing okay, but you know, it's a cautionary tale. Be careful with these women, fellas, because they really fucking crazy. They really, they brains work in a way that, you know, we can't even fathom sometimes. And you know, for the sake of the story, all names have been disclosed, so you know, if you hear any backlash, that's the psycho. It is what it is. Hopefully she hears it, and you know, if she does, she you know, maybe she'll feel free to tell her side of the story. It'll be some must-see TV. I don't know. I don't care. This is what it is. But this was me tapping in real quick with the time that I encountered a real life psychopath. Like, real life. I mean, it gets deeper, but, you know, I've been talking for over an hour. Cool story, I guess. And, yeah, I guess I'll see y'all next time on The Life of Wayne. The Crazy Life of Wayne. Peace.